Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70mm, a podcast for film lovers just like you. Every Monday, I chat about recently watched movies with my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
Insane cast, Carrot Top.
And my close friend and movie insider, Alexis.
No, why would I be able to? Come on. I'm the movie insider. Come on, baby.
Every month, we have a new theme that guides our featured presentation for that episode. And this time around, we're ending 70s month with Gena Rowlands in Opening Night. That movie was chosen by our guest, West Coast editor at Letterboxd, Mia Vicino.
I saw John Cassavetes in Rosemary's Baby, and I was like, who is that? Hubba, what the heck?
Is Gena Rowlands the most underrated actor of our time? Do we all fear becoming old? Let's find out now. Right off the bat, we have to start. People are listening to this episode in their podcast apps, and they're seeing something fresh, something new. It's been 3 years since we started the podcast, and Danny, you decided it was time to switch it up.
You know, I did because I get to the point where normally I hate looking at my art anyway. But I feel like after 3 years, it's time to just change the vibe a bit for the show. And what better night to do it on than when I can spotlight Gena Rowlands. So here it is. You're looking at it now.
Can we get some insights? There's some design insights too, right? Into that like rectangle, right? You were telling me?
The part where you'll see the art this time is it's the dimensions of a 70mm film strip.
God.
So, you know, like, yeah, where you see Gena now.
God.
And then I just wanted to give it some, you know, movie poster vibes, like a what are they called? Lobby cards, like a good lobby card from back in the day. So, yeah, it's time for some new art.
Gorgeous. Mia, have you ever stolen a lobby card from a movie theater in your lifetime?
Stolen a lobby card. This is embarrassing. Can you tell me what a lobby card is?
Thank you for asking. Yes, I have no idea.
Okay, so if you Google like lobby cards, it's basically the movie poster shrunk down to like an 8x10 or like an 8.5x11 that they just left in the lobbies that you could take. Usually it was before the movies were coming out to have like advertisement of an upcoming movie. Now, it's something that I've wanted to collect, and my wife is rolling her eyes about me collecting another thing in my life. But lobby cards are amazing. They're super expensive. Like if you look back, like the 2001 and the Star Wars ones and like the big name movies are really expensive to collect. But I just love lobby cards.
Oh my God, these are so cool. I've never seen this before.
Did you just Google, what movie did you Google for a lobby card? E.T.
Well, he said 2001, so I
yeah, 2000. It's a lot of like maybe like a great screenshot of the movie. Some are the posters, but they're a lot of fun. It's a lot of great art that you wouldn't have normally have seen coming from older movies.
These are looking familiar because when I worked at Amoeba Music, people would sell these to us, and then we would resell them.
Yeah.
So now it's all coming back to me. And yes, these are something that I would have stolen.
Okay, so we have a guest. As I mentioned at the top of the show, and as you just heard, there's some thievery potentially in some lobbies. But Mia Vicino, welcome to the podcast for the first time ever.
Oh, thank you so much, Slim. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Long time coming. Maybe people know, but we work together very well on the Weekend Watch List podcast. You just are now the anchor for Best in Show at the Letterboxd show. So things are moving and shaking. It's the awards season, so you're very busy right now.
Oh, yes. I'm very busy, but of course I'm making time for my 70mm crew.
Oh, thank you.
So Best in Show launched on the Letterboxd Show feed, and full disclosure, like we were talking about launching a new pod for the Letterboxd Show, and I told everyone, I was like, I don't know anything about awards.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about it.
Dunce.
So maybe we should like gear this podcast for noobs like me at a certain level. And I think you guys are doing very well at that, because I edit it, but I also, have to listen to it for work.
He's forced to.
But I would listen to it otherwise, because there's like explainers, like Brian Formo is on there, and everyone does a great job of explaining to me, the dullard of the company, like what the hell, what's Sundance? Like everyone's talking about Sundance right now, right? That's Robert Redford. Didn't he start that?
Yes, he did. And he's very handsome.
Oh, yeah.
Is he there? Was there any
Confirmed.
vibes that he was there in attendance in the shadows?
See, I wasn't there, so it's hard for me to tell, but best believe that if I were there, I would be on the freaking hunt.
Right.
That's why they're not sending me.
Proto, what would you do if you saw Robert Redford on the slopes at Sundance while you were there?
Oh, I'd chase him down. Hey, Robert, it's Proto. It's me. It's Movie Insider.
Movie
But-
You would just start seeing faster.
I'm a dullard as well, because I was in Salt Lake City this week, and I had no idea that Sundance was going on. So, Movie Insider, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about this, like, even privately, but Proto was, like, on a plane
It's sick.
this week. Well, he watched 9 movies.
Yeah.
We'll get to it in just a bit. And it's, like, more than Proto's watched in the last, like, 6 months. In one
Insane.
trip,
False.
he's, like, leapfrogged all of us. We'll get to it in mere moments. So when we have a guest, we real quick go through their 4 faves on Letterboxd to get a feel for their movie tastes. And the first one on your account, Mia, by the way, 100,000 followers on Letterboxd. I don't even know what I would do.
Excuse me, what?
No,
That's
I know.
so
I don't
stressful.
know. It is. Oh, thank you for saying so. People have a lot of false conceptions about what it means. They think
Oh
I'm
my
getting like
goodness.
thousands of dollars a month for
You're
this. And
Right.
It's like,
You're just getting thousands of comments that you probably would
Yeah.
never read on your
Yeah.
reviews.
I haven't
Yeah.
had notifications on since 2018.
Yeah.
Is kind of the way I have to live. Not that I'm complaining, but
The
it's a
price
little
of
weird.
fame.
The price. Oh, it's so difficult. Oh.
So number 1 on your 4 faves is Mikey and Nikki, which I actually was wondering if you were going to pick from Elaine May. So it in a few sentences, why does that one make the number 1? Because your boy is in it.
My boy, yes. Well, my husband, John Cassavetes, we are married despite his death in 1989. That hasn't stopped us. Yeah. So Mikey and Nikki's up there because, so I discovered this kind of later, like in 2019, because it was just like not released until Criterion restored it in 2019. And I watched it like so many times as soon as I saw it for the first time. Like I immediately wanted to watch it again, and I almost that never happens to me. So there's something special there. Plus it's directed by Elaine May, who I want to rep and want to kind of spotlight. I want more people to discover her work. She only made 4 films. But I have thought about switching out Mikey and Nikki for opening night many, many, many
Oh,
times,
my.
I want to say. I'm always on the verge of it, but I'm like, if I do that, then I won't have any lady directors in my top 4. And,
That's a good
I
point.
got to rep them. So opening night is the alternate, but Mikey and Nikki is great. And if you have heard my 4 faves episode on Letterboxd, which Slim, you've interrogated me about Mikey and Nikki
great.
on there.
We did great that episode, to be honest.
I think so. Got me a job. So yes, Mikey and Nikki, check it out.
I'm trying to find Proto's review.
Oh,
I wanted
no.
to spotlight.
This is dangerous.
Never a good way to start a thought. Trying to find Proto's Letterboxd review. We'll get to it later, but Peter Falk is in Mikey and Nikki.
Damn right.
Proto is on record, quote, Peter Falk is my sleep paralysis demon.
No, stop. Why?
Proto, do you care to
nice.
elaborate on that?
Listen, so we did A Woman Under the Influence on this show, and that was, other than Columbo, I haven't watched Columbo in years and years since I was like a kid, but so this was like my first experience with Peter Falk as an adult. And I mean, he's quite a performance in that movie. And, I think coming away from that, who that guy was and just like his relationship with his wife and his kids, it just like irked me and like stayed under my skin. So for him to appear in this movie in this movie for just a mere moment as like this ghoul, you know, like here's everyone celebrating and they like, I don't even know how to like
he's just standing there.
Cool.
But he's like so gnarly and like there's something about him.
Full disclosure, I don't even remember that scene. I must have blinked and missed Peter Falk in opening
jumped
night.
out of my seat.
Yeah,
He's
is in there.
standing on a stairwell.
He's standing on a stairwell near the end when it's opening night. He's just
when
standing
they're
there.
walking
He
through.
turns.
Oh gosh, I don't know what I was doing.
He's in a suit. Like he's not even. He's literally
He
just
looks
standing
great.
there.
Because I remember I missed it, and I remember thinking of Pearl's review, and I was like, "Wait a minute, didn't Pearl reference Peter Falk?" And I missed it. So the whole thing I was just very fascinated by. Next on your list, though, Down with Love from 2003, Peyton Reed, Renee Zellweger, and Ewan McGregor. Why?
Oh, yes. Well, first off, it's directed by Peyton Reed of the Ant-Men series.
The Ant-Men.
Everyone?
What?
Yes,
The
it is.
Ant-Men's.
The Ant-Men's. He directed Bring It On and Down with Love before he took on Ant-Man World. So
What in the world?
I know it's absurd. But I love Down with Love. That's another one that I discovered later on in life when I was thirst watching Ewan McGregor's entire filmography.
Mhm.
I had never heard of this film. The synopsis was something about like it's very screwball rom-com. It's like the sex comedies of the 1950s as well. And I really like those older rom-coms because the leads actually have like a spark and chemistry. These days, don't get me started on modern rom-coms. That's a whole other episode. But this one is just so fun. It never gets old. And Ewan McGregor and Renee Zellweger get to sing. There's a musical number.
Slim loves when he sings.
I'm not.
Slim.
Mia, brace
Wait.
yourself.
Moulin.
Wait.
If we did a Moulin Rouge episode, we might lose.
Might get canceled.
We,
Wait, do you think he's a bad singer? Be real.
I think Moulin Rouge is not great, and I also
That's okay.
might think that he's not
Here we go.
in my top 500 favorite singers.
Well, okay, that's fair.
Singers.
Yeah,
Top
I mean,
500 favorite
maybe-
singer. That's
She's
okay.
actors.
I mean, maybe people watch a few clips of Moulin Rouge with Ewan singing, and you get back to us. Get back to us in the comments and in our Discord.
Go
Not an
listen to
iTunes
Elephant
review,
Love
please.
Medley. Go listen to your song. Go listen to his song at the end of Pinocchio. Did you hear that one, Slim? What'd you think of that one?
That was better. I think he tried to go too hard in Moulin Rouge. Like he was like an opera singer.
Yeah, he
like,
was
come
doing
on.
too well. And then
The vibrato.
he was trying. He put
One
too
last-
much effort into his work. Okay,
One
sorry.
last thing I'll say about Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed is in my good guy list because he's appeared on an On Cinema Oscar special and he went along with the bits. Like he knows funny.
Well, he's
That's all I'll say.
allied. He's allied with Kim
he's
Heidecker
On
and Greg
Cinema
Turkington.
ally.
Because he keeps putting them in the Ant-Man.
Yeah, Greg is in his movies. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a Greg head.
He's
So
a
Smiley Face from 2007 is your next one. And I had never heard of this before you came onto the podcast, Greg Araki. But this is like a hardcore stoner movie, but it follows Anna Faris. It's not like your
She's a
regular
girl.
run-the-mill. Yeah,
So
it follows
it's
a girl.
different.
It's very different.
What? A girl?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah. Well, that's why we are dearly lacking stoner girl representation. This is a serious issue plaguing America, plaguing the world. And this one is a step in the right direction. And it's just relatable. She's in LA and she gets too stoned. And she has to do like kind of trivial tasks, just like her chores almost. And it's really hard. And chores are hard, man. Anyway, and I think Greg Araki is such a talented and interesting filmmaker. He's one of my fave auteurs, as you may call them.
John Krasinski, Adam Brody, and Jane
Insane
Lynch.
cast.
Yeah.
Carrot Top.
Yeah, so Adam Brody's playing her drug dealer. It's
Doesn't he
just
have
like,
dreads too?
Yeah,
Isn't
he
like
has a white
full
guy with dreads. And it's just like everyone's kind of against type. It's so interesting. There's a great monologue about Garfield the cat and lasagna. Like it's really, really funny. I'm laughing the whole time.
Casey
it's
in
kind of
chat.
hard to track down though. So
It
props
is.
if you
Yeah,
can.
it's on Tubi right now. Tubi Army Rise Up.
Thank God for Tubi.
Casey in chat says that's my Friday night movie, Sorted. So it sounds like you just
Yes.
won over Casey.
Yes,
That
we're
one.
already getting more people for the Smiley Face Army.
Proto, what's your favorite Anna Faris movie?
Oh gosh,
Name
there's
one.
so many. Brokeback Mountain, of course. We did that on the
Excellent
show.
I
Of
forget
course.
she's in that. I always forget she's in that.
I can't believe you just rattled that off. Are you on her page right now?
He's
Are you
on
looking at all her movies?
I'm
I'm trying to zoom in on your glasses right
I'm
now.
the movie insider. Come on, baby.
Final movie, which coincidentally, next month's theme for this podcast is the VHS Village best films of all time, the top 100, as voted by our supporters. And this is on there. It's Kill Bill Volume 1. Quentin Tarantino.
Dying to do that.
Did you see that in theaters? Or when was the first time you saw it?
No, I was small. I was too young to see it in the theaters, not to give away my age.
We won't
But
you.
I would see it when I was like a kid at Hollywood Video. I would just see the cover and I was like, that looks cool. But, I'm like 9 maybe. It's like that. You should not be watching that. And then when I was 16, I ordered it from DVD Netflix. And that's the film that got me into film. So it was like the first time I was like, what, movies can do this? And then Lucy Liu's performance specifically, like that role was just extremely important to me as like somebody of mixed Asian heritage. It was just really cool to see her on screen being so badass. So yeah, this is just a very, very special movie to me. I feel like I can't ever take it out of my top 4 because of these reasons.
Gosh, what a picture. What a freaking picture. My God. Pardo, can you imagine us doing a Kill Bill episode?
God, well, now I'm rethinking because I was pretty sure I had what my pick would be next month, but now seeing this new format of the art, I think I might have to rethink.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
Can you imagine Danny Kill Bill art?
I feel like we'd have to do both movies too. Double feature.
Guess we'll just have to do both.
Darn.
Aw.
Damn, that would be really cool. Okay, so that's the top 4 sorted. So I think folks listening probably have a good indication based on that as what to expect with our opening night discussion later in the show. Use your chapters to zip around if you so choose. But let's say hello to some new patrons, Chelsea, Daniel, and Daniel. 2 Daniels this week. We have a lot of Daniels.
The Daniels.
The Daniels. We got the
In honor.
Daniels?
Yeah.
Academy Award nominees?
Yes.
I can't believe they decided now was the time after all those nominations, but we appreciate it.
Finally.
They got access to the VHS Village Discord, Danny's prints with a juicy discount, and all the episodes in the 70mm vault, the exclusive episodes available to supporters. Do we need to hear from Proto about Greta?
Gerwig?
She's this rising star, actor, director. She does it all. And I decided to watch this little picture this week. It's been on my watch list for a while. Frances Ha. Frances Ha. I don't know if this movie would be for everybody, but it was definitely for me. One thing I loved about it, it's about, she plays Frances. She's in her mid-20s, and this movie's from 2012. So at that time, I was a similar age as her. And even though my life is much different than hers was at the time, just knowing that this movie was made at that same time as like where I was, and the things that happen in your mid-20s as you're, sometimes forced to transition to adulthood, your relationship to your friends who you thought might be your forever friends kind of changes. Your circumstances change. You're forced to do things you might not want to. All of those things that this movie goes over. But Greta is just, I think she's just magic in this. I fell in love all over again.
My God.
I mean, I fell in love with her in watching White Noise the week before, and I fell deeper. I'm in deep now with Greta.
Oh, no.
Oh, I love Frances Ha. I love when she goes to Paris and sees Puss in Boots in theaters.
Magical moment.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I just want to say that's a great film, and it only gets better upon rewatch for me. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, that was good. Then I watched it again when I was like in my mid-20s, and I was like, oh my God. Ooh, that got me. That got me.
Few comments on your review, Proto. This is in caps, cover one of her movies on the pod, I beg. Jake also says, did someone say Greta month?
We could
What
do a
if?
whole month.
There's a lot of groveling in our comments nowadays.
I think that might be in the VHS Village Top 100 now I think about it.
Oh, it makes me weep.
Oh my God.
Is it time?
This could be a big month for us.
It's a huge month.
February. What about Labyrinth, Proto? You also watched Labyrinth.
No. I was wondering if you were bringing this up.
Can we get into this?
So this was my first movie that I watched on the plane. I'm scrolling through United Airlines, their filmography there, seeing what's available. And Labyrinth, I've always wanted to watch it. I watched Legend for the first time, and for whatever reason, Legend and Labyrinth are like in the same category to me. So I was like, oh, let me bang this one out.
Bang it out.
It's, what can you say? This movie's not good.
That's what you can say, I guess.
It's fascinating of like the time, and taking David Bowie and putting him in this movie. I love Jim Henson. I love his work. There's some great creature design in this, but was he on acid or something while he was
100%.
designing all of this? It's some of the designs are unreal and not advisable. I mean, the kids who saw this in theater, they're probably all dead now. They didn't make it to adulthood, I don't think. Like it is that disturbed. And these children, do you need to see the anatomy of a full-grown man that up close for an hour and a half? I don't think so.
Let me read this line from your review. The end of your review. How about David Bowie soundtrack from hell? Last time I laughed like this was when I read your Ninja Turtles review.
Oh my gosh.
Your review that I couldn't get through. But if we ever need a 3D model of Bowie's scrotum, we've got what we need. I never sat through Labyrinth. I think I watched the first 5 minutes with Amanda like years ago and I shut it off for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But Labyrinth is one of those nostalgia movies for people. There's Labyrinth fans out there.
I started watching it when I was in college. I think I got an hour in, but I was too stoned and fell asleep. So I don't know what happens. I don't know if she gets out.
Danny, what about you in Labyrinth? Do you have any nostalgia for this?
I don't. It fell into the my hate of Muppets category. So Muppets as a kid terrified me, and there was no way I was watching it as a kid. And unless you have nostalgia for this movie, I don't think you're going to enjoy it in your 30s, 40s. For the first time.
I was also afraid of the Muppets.
Really?
We exist.
Yes, thank you. I would have horrible nightmares of Sweetums, the giant, full-grown Muppet, and he would mess me up. And I can't do it. I can't do Muppets. Not even as an adult.
Muppet. Yeah, we're all furiously typing. That one's scary. That one is really, I was also scared of this one.
It's not a hand in there. It's a full-grown human.
Oh my God.
It's funny that, Proto, you're not upset about Muppets, but what is the thing that you're fearful of?
Like Harry and the Hendersons.
Subhumans? Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons? You can't deal with that.
Can't do Harry's.
I did find Proto's Ninja Turtles review. I'm going to just not try to read it. It's too good. I put it in chat if anyone has time to read it later. It's one of my faves. We give out a free year of Letterboxd Pro every week to a friend that shares the show on social media or tags their reviews 70mm pod. Britt Barnum on Twitter. Quote, so I started listening to 70mm pod. I'm loving it so far. It's such a fun listen. Poor art of Danny. Anytime they rip into a Star Wars film because they do not hold back. Their episode on Rogue One was fantastic because of those differing perspectives, in my opinion, though. So you just want a free year of Letterboxd Pro? Danny, any comments on how we treat you in the Star Wars episodes?
I've always said I love watching Star Wars with friends and talking about Star Wars with friends. So I'm happy that we don't agree on Star Wars all the time. Mm-hmm. If we agreed on Star Wars all the time, we'd be just like every other Star Wars podcast out there, okay?
Yeah.
We can't always agree. But Rogue One is perfect.
Well,
yeah.
We'll see if we do it a third time. We changed our minds.
Can we do it one more time?
Danny, you've gone back into the Bond journey.
I
officially.
did start the Bond
it's
journey
back on.
Oh.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I watched that documentary on Amazon Prime, The Sound of 007. And now I am back I'm now into the Timothy Dalton era of James Bond, which it's so good. Timothy Dalton as Bond he's just perfect. He's already a perfect actor. I love Timothy anyway, but him as Bond is just, he feels right after coming off of Roger Moore. But then I watched Living Daylights, and the action felt real. The gadgets aren't over the top. It's not super, like Roger Moore felt like a parody of James Bond. So it feels good to be back in the Bond era again. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Time for License to Kill.
License to Kill. So
That'll be next week. Yeah, I'm excited.
That's the revenge one, right? That's where he goes
Yeah,
on the
it
revenge
is.
kick. He quits MI6.
No.
It's
So-
never been done before.
I've never seen a single Bond film.
Not one.
Not
Okay.
one.
It's
Which
okay,
one would
believe
you
me.
which one would you recommend for me who doesn't know shit?
Well, I would start with their Daniel Craig journey.
Okay.
Yeah, Casino Royale
Honestly,
probably.
Casino Royale is still my favorite Bond, and there's a couple duds in there for Daniel, but as a whole, it's a great journey with Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Been
Yeah, we were
years.
talking about it last week, man. There's just so much junk
Mm-hmm.
in the Bond franchise, but people just choose to ignore it and love it all the same. Any other movies you want to talk about, Danny?
I had it up. 1 second. Sorry. I was looking at Smiley Face.
As you should be. That's good. You won't get in trouble for that.
We watched. Casey had never seen. We were looking at Proto's review of. What was the movie about the gallows he watched?
Elevator to the Gallows.
Elevator to the
Oh,
Gallows. We were going to watch an older movie, but I had remembered that I had wanted to watch Notorious, the Hitchcock movie with Casey. I had seen it before. I wanted to watch it with her for the first time because I love that movie. I love Ingrid in that.
Mm.
And I gave it another 5 stars again on Letterboxd.
Oh.
It is an incredible Hitchcock. It's so weird too because the movie it starts and it just goes and there's no beat to pause, but also it's a weird slow burn as well. And it has an amazing third act. Ingrid and Cary Grant are magical in it. It's a gorgeous movie too. I love Notorious so much.
Do you have the disc for this?
I don't have the Criterion. I've been meaning to get the Blu-ray from them, but yeah, Notorious is just, it's a lot of fun.
It is great. I become afraid when Cary Grant isn't being nice. I don't
Yes.
like it in the movies when he's not being nice.
It's hard to watch. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't believe this. I don't think Cary Grant would do that actually. No, but it's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's absolutely great.
Casey liked one of my, I guess, my Notorious review, and it's always cracks me up when I get a like on a random review, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're watching tonight. That must be what they're watching. Proto, I did mean to ask you about Elevator to the Gallows.
Yeah.
You had a great time watching that, I guess.
Oh
too,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. It felt like very modern, the movie. And the black and white movies, I still feel hesitant at times to put them on. I think that's what kept me away for so long. But it's a great story. I mean, I think I said it might be my favorite Noir ending ever. Like I was just floored by how that movie ended. It was just perfect.
Nice.
Louis Malle,
Nailed it.
the director of that film. That kicked off my journey of his after I watched that a couple years ago. Started tracking down some of his films. Very worthwhile journey, IMO. We're running out of time. Just real briefly.
God.
I did watch The Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, no,
do you
Slim.
really want to do this, Slim?
Why are you bringing this up now?
I just want to say I brought it up. The vibes are real good right now. We don't want to spend a
that's
whole lot of
true.
time on
Yeah,
it.
and we'll be peaceful.
We're all friends here. This is a safe space. It wasn't for me. That's all I'll say. It wasn't for me. The
You
acting
hated
was
it.
The acting
Colored.
was great. This is one of the things because I knew I was going to set off a firestorm. Like as I had the app open, I was like, do I want to log this with a rating? What if I just don't give it a heart and no rating? Would that convey what I wanted to convey?
No.
Do I want to give it 3 stars to avoid any kind of like? So all of this was going through my head, and I was like, you know what? F it. I'll just give it 2.5 stars.
Imagine having 100,000 followers on Letterboxd and writing that
Slim.
review.
I have 3, and that's what I go through. I would not even. I don't even know if I would post anything if I had 100,000 followers on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
But you loved it.
You know what? I wouldn't say I loved it, but I did like it. I did like it, and I am rooting for Colin.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he's one of my many, many husbands. Yeah, so I have to. And I think this could be his year. I think he could finally become an Oscar award-winning actor. So for that reason, I am very pro Banshees because it can do this for him.
Mm-hmm.
And my priority is Colin always.
Right. Of course. Of course. Okay. I think it might be time to get into our feature presentation.
My other priority, Johnny cassette tapes.
So this is the last episode of 70s Month. This is Mia's pick, and we're about to get into it just real quick. So Proto, what is this movie about?
Myrtle Gordon is a beloved film and stage actress with a new play, The Second Woman, about to debut with longtime collaborators. But during a rehearsal night, a young woman is killed outside the theater, and the accident haunts Myrtle. As the play's debut grows closer, Myrtle struggles to perform her role and begins to see the dead woman in increasingly vivid ways. Opening night arrives, but Myrtle is nowhere to be found. With no recourse, the producers cross their fingers and hope their star finds a way to the stage. Opening night.
Goodness.
Proto, had you ever heard of this film? Like, we're not huge Cassavetes fans.
Cassette heads.
Cassette heads, yes.
We're not big cassette heads, but we started our best last year or whenever we did A Woman Under the Influence. So that opened our eyes. But had you heard of this film, Proto?
I probably only clicked on it after we did A Woman Under the Influence because, I think I gave A Woman Under the Influence 3 stars, but I wanted to give cassette tapes another shot. So, perusing, looking around, but yeah, didn't really know anything about this one.
Danny, any indication?
No, the exact same. I remember clicking on it on Letterboxd and seeing the banner image of Jenna and John on stage.
Which Slim changed.
I did change
Thank
that.
God, because that was such a bamboozle.
Low res.
I was like, oh, this is a stage play? What is this movie? I don't know if I want to watch this. So no, I hadn't even thought about this film.
So Mia, what was your first knowledge of this movie? Like, were you into the journey for cassette tapes and discovering everything? Like, what was your first kind of memory of this movie?
So I had seen A Woman Under the Influence in college. And at the time, I was also kind of lukewarm on it because I was still developing. I'm still figuring stuff out. But I was also like, let's give cassette tapes another chance. And then this is what happened. I saw John Cassavetes in Rosemary's Baby. And I was like, who is that? Hubba, what the heck? And then I was like, oh, he directed that movie I saw in college. Like, I should watch more of his stuff. And so this is another one I ordered off DVD Netflix in like 2019. I was on DVD Netflix for a long time. And this one is tough because on first watch, you don't really understand the tone. Like, it gets funnier and funnier each time I watch it. To me, now it's like almost a comedy. But the first time I watched it, I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Like the slapping scene, like there are all these scenes that go on for so long and you can't tell like what the point is. And then it ends and you're like, oh, and then it's kind of like a little puzzle at the end. I like movies that are a puzzle that like you just can't stop thinking about, and that there are so many different interpretations and themes that are swirling around in there. Like, I just rewatched this last night with my friend to prep for this. And we talked for so much afterwards, just like about all of our different interpretations of the ending, of Myrtle's character. I think it's a very rich text.
Yeah, for sure. That man with the dreams sitting there talking about a movie. It's like Proto and I seeing Portrait of a Lady on Fire in Philadelphia, Center City. We need to go back soon.
I also want to say I have the same portrait shirt that you're wearing, Danny, and that I know Slim also has.
How'd you get it?
Oh, yeah. I think she got it from Thomas as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Portrait gang.
6 degrees of portrait.
Mm-hmm.
Mine got lost in the mail.
At Thomas in chat. So in this segment, each host writes down 3 things that we try to cover in a roundtable format. And usually when we have a guest, we'll have a lot of overlap. So we might go faster through that discussion. So kind of connected to Mia's thoughts. When we watched Mikey and Nikki for your episode, and I think I don't think I had seen another one of his, but his style of I mentioned to you in that episode that I thought that he had directed Mikey and Nicky because it had that kind of loose acting. The camera's just kind of running, and we're gonna get what we're gonna get, and that's gonna be in the movie that we saw in I think his other films. So that was like brand new to me. I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like the 70s were weird. And I was wondering like, why haven't I heard more of him? But I think it's interesting how everyone's kind of like film journey progresses at a certain point, and then you start to discover some of like these actors in film. So I'm always fascinated by that. So Mia, what's your first thing that you wanted to kind of just touch on in this discussion for this film?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I think one of the things that I love most about it is the metatextualness of it, of Cassavetes and Rowlands together, because they are like this power couple. I don't know how familiar you are with John Cassavetes and Gena Rowlands' partnership and their marriage and everything, but I think this is okay. Well, he is the ultimate wife guy. They got married like youngish. They were together his entire life, like until he died, and they were so in love. And he wrote this film for her as a little gift. Just a little gift,
Make us all like chumps.
Normal. So I just think it's so romantic that he writes her this big, meaty, complicated role that is so interesting, I think. There are so many layers to it. It's so thorny. She's like not a likable character. And I just think it's such a treat for her to perform. So that romance aspect is very neat to me. I think it's very romantic. It's also the fact that he like casts himself as the supporting role who's like pining for her kind of. It's like some true like both alpha and beta shit of him.
Yeah. The metatextualness of it, I feel like you could say is like everywhere too, not just like inside their marriage, but even the play aspect. And then you kind of as the viewer, them like unwrapping what she's going through via the play and the discussions like that. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Pearl, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought the relationships between all the characters, it feels like so muddy, a lot of it, of like you're not really sure of what the relationship is. Even her relationship with Manny, I guess is he like the producer or does
the director?
Oh, he was the director, right? So like her relationship with him, even it just leaves so much room for you to come to kind of like your own conclusions as to what it's about. So I thought it was in some ways it can be frustrating because when you watch a movie and as humans, you want to find the patterns and just figure out what is this movie trying to tell me. But then I think the best movies are the ones that just leave that, the book open a little bit.
Yeah, it's not spoon feeding anything to the audience. Like it really wants you to figure it out for yourself and have your own take on it, which is really one of the more refreshing things I think about 70s cinema in comparison to modern cinema.
Yeah. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Gazzara?
Gazzara, I believe.
Gazzara. How about Ben Gazzara, the sex icon in 1977? Can you imagine?
Stop.
That head.
Have mercy.
I wanted to gag when he kissed her on the cheek in front of the mirror when they like spent. I don't know if they like spent the night together, but I
don't know what they were doing together.
He's seedy. He's so seedy. That's why in my review I like jokingly said that this was like a Roadhouse prequel because it almost feels like a natural progression to what that character in Roadhouse became. It's like he like flamed out of New York and went to go buy this bar and become this like magnate in the South or wherever the hell they were.
I kept seeing, you guys were putting Roadhouse references in your reviews. And I was like, I haven't seen Roadhouse. I didn't know Ben Gazzara's in Roadhouse. Huh? Now I got to watch it.
Yeah, watch that right after opening night and it'll make all the sense in the world. But also, Danny, your review pointed out that you thought he was, what's his face from Indiana Jones? I thought the same thing.
Paul Freeman. I kept thinking he was the head, the opposite
the head Nazi.
No. He's the
Who's
other architect, archaeologist that was always beating Indy to all the punches. I kept thinking that was him. I'm like, why do these guys look exactly the same? And then I just had to look up the names, and it wasn't Paul at all. It was Ben, Chinese bookie.
Different dude.
Completely different guy.
Yeah. Danny, what's number one on your list to discuss?
My number one note was Jenna Rollins scares me.
Mhm.
She, I thought about this too when I was watching Woman Under the Influence. She has an ability to just encapsulate a role where I can't take my eyes off of her. She is so, even just saying she's so good is just not even the right words to use, because she's brilliant. Like there are just moments where people are doing something and I just can't stop looking at what Jenna's doing on screen. She's just kind of intoxicating when she's performing. And it almost bugged me to the point where for so long in like my tiny cinema life, I hear the names like Meryl Streep and all these names around, but I never hear people talk about Jenna Rollins the way they talk about other top actresses. Because I don't remember another actress that affects me like these two movies of Jenna I've seen. And she's just kind of incredible.
Mia, why do you think that is? Did she, you know her filmography better than we do, but did she never have those kind of like big budget studio tentpole, like for your consideration movies?
For the most part, she pretty exclusively worked with John Cassavetes, and he funded all of his films on his own. They all pretty much flopped because he doesn't have any distribution deals. Like you'll notice that this movie starts and it doesn't have like any of the, like studio logos or anything. It's just this Criterion Channel and Janus Films, and then it just goes into it because John Cassavetes funded them all from the money he would make from acting. So like it was a conscious choice of her to be like, I want to collaborate with my husband and my friends, Peter Falk and Ben Gazzara and all these people. And she just like kind of valued that over awards acclaim and fame and everything, which is very admirable. And also a lot of like contemporary actresses shout her out as a big inspiration in interviews. Like Cate Blanchett has gone off about how much she loves Jenna Rollins, and you can see it in her work, in my opinion. Like I feel like a lot of Cate Blanchett performances are very Jenna Rollins influenced.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be my guess, is that they were just making it for the passion of filmmaking and not for acclaim. So
yeah, I can picture the two of them, Jenna and John, being like the pot smoking teachers that run drama club or something, and like put on their own shows like down the street at like the lower budget houses.
Yeah, Casey texted me after watching. She said, John Cassavetes is the only man to direct his wife to 2 Oscar nominations.
Damn.
Only 5 other people have done it once for their wives.
See, like, and they didn't have like the money for these awards campaigns or anything, but they still were able to make it just because she's so damn talented. She's a star.
Really is.
Like that's why in opening night, like everybody's putting up with Myrtle's bullshit because she's such a great actress.
Right.
And I watched an interview with Jenna. It was more recent because it was a little older aged of her, and it was with Tiff. And she was just talking about how her and John did theater together, or she was on stage. I was like, man, just to be able to see Jenna perform live on a theater play. I mean, that would have been something special.
I'm so jealous. So like they filmed a lot of the theater scenes in opening night in like the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, and they just had people come in and watch.
Oh my
like those are just audience members. If I had a time machine, I would absolutely go back to that theater and just like watch them improv and like figure it out, because he's also so improv based. I think of opening night as pro improv propaganda. The ending is pro improv propaganda. That's
It totally
all I'll
is.
say.
It is, yeah.
It totally is.
Harvey Keitel in the front row there.
That guy, I would have bet money that guy was Harvey Keitel.
I know, it looked
The
just
one
like
that guy
him.
with the long hair, his twin. It was so unsettling to me. Proto, what's first on your list?
So last week I said that I was excited to watch another Cassavetes because when we did A Woman Under the Influence, I felt like I couldn't get a handle on what this movie, like the tone of it or what was really going on. And it kind of like threw me off the whole viewing. So seeing another one, I was excited for it. And I kind of felt the same way. Like halfway through this movie, I'm kind of like, like what's going on? Like, what is the tone here? But it was like, all right, this is maybe just his thing. This is how the movies are. But I'm sitting there, and I just found this so funny that I'm sitting there thinking this, and I'm like looking to my left and my right while I'm watching this movie alone. Like what is going on in this movie? And it was so great because at that moment it's like after the second performance that they have, and they're all back in the dressing room and they're having a conversation about her performance. And I think it's Cassavetes. He says, does anybody know what's going on here? And they're like, no, I don't. I have no idea. So I just thought it was so funny that like the reaction I was having with this movie, the actors playing the part, like the characters were having the same reaction as well. So it kind of was like, all right, I guess I'm okay. Like I'm not lost.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's like kind of what I was saying. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. But like it's the tone, where the tone is just like, what is this? Like the first watch is like, am I supposed to be laughing? Am I supposed to be like, huh? But yeah, the more, that I've seen it 4 times now, and yeah, each time it falls more into place. Like you just get more. It's kind of like I don't know, like rewatching Mulholland Drive. You understand so much. Is that relatable? Is that relatable to anybody here?
I've still not watched Mulholland Drive.
Never mind. Let's scrap that. Scrap that example.
This is a different podcast.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Lower the bar. You got to lower the bar here.
I'm still just thinking of Proto laughing to himself and talking to John Cassavetes on his TV, and he's alone in the house, and that just cracks me up. So my first note is like the first thing I thought of when we were talking about doing this movie. I was like, we mentioned earlier, but the backdrop. Like, oh man, this backdrop is terrible. It doesn't entice me to watch this movie at all.
It enticed me, I just want to say, because I was like, that's John Cassavetes.
Oh, so that part at least worked for you. So I went and I opened up like the Criterion because I wanted to change it before I like dropped the link in the Discord, and I was scanning through the movie to see like what could potentially be a beautiful shot, because Mia had mentioned there's like a bunch more other options that weren't listed on TMDb for a backdrop potential. And just FYI, all the backdrops on Letterboxd are all done manually. It's not like an automated thing. So I was scanning and I saw this one scene with Jenna in front of a mirror. And I was like, oh man, this is gorgeous. And then I was like missing the shot that I wanted to screenshot. So I kept rewinding. So I just sat there and watched the scene, not having started the movie at all. And I was like, what the F is going on in this scene? I was blown away just by that 45-second scene, having zero context of the movie. So when I went back to watch it, I was like, oh, hell yeah, here's that mirror scene. And man, that, in my opinion, this is the scene of the movie. It's so weird. It's so tense. It's so gorgeous because you're like sitting there with her. And by this point, her fan had been killed and she's kind of like on edge. You're kind of just like, she's maybe on the verge of a nervous breakdown. She's got a whole lot of BS going on in her head.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there and like looking at the mirror, and you're just with her there in this moment of unease and like personal tension. I thought it was stunning, that entire sequence. And then this is almost like the beginning of her with the quote dead girl, or depending on how you interpret it, her youth coming, and her just kind of battling with the end of her youth. And I thought that whole sequence was stunning. That was like the best Cassavetes anything that I've seen so far. Dan,
yes.
What did you think of that scene?
No, I completely agree with you. I think it is the scene of the movie. I would lean a little bit towards the end performance where she's drunk, but it took a minute for me to connect that this was the dead girl that she was battling, and once it clicked, I'm like, oh my God, this is brilliant.
When she shows up to the funeral and
oh my gosh,
everyone's like, why are you here? And they're like, you don't have children, because if you did, you would not be here.
Right.
It's like, Myrtle, you are delusional. Love you.
Your wacky friend Myrtle up to her old tricks.
Like, oh my God. Everyone's like so sick of her. When she like bangs up her face in the doorway, and the writer's like, she needs to go. She is crazy. Like, we have to get her out of here.
Yeah. And then Manny, the whole movie, Manny, at the end, I'm jumping ahead, but like Manny refusing to cancel. He's like, Let her walk. Leave her alone. The show's happening. Like, are you crazy? Like, what in what world is this show happening tonight?
Because she's a star.
Right, and it did go on. Pardo, any thoughts on that scene or the views of the dead girl following her?
I will be honest. I have no recollection of this mirror scene that you're talking about.
Oh my god! Well said, Pardo. Well said.
Yeah.
Mia, what's next on your list?
Well, we keep talking about the ending. It keeps being brought up because that's my personal favorite scene of the movie and one of my favorite scenes of all time, like in all of cinema history. This is just a person, like it's not because I think it's like objectively great. It just very much speaks to me. It's specifically like that last scene with her and John Cassavetes, and they've gone off script and they're just like improvising all this random stuff. They're being very random XD on stage together. And he's like yelling and being like, I'm Superman. And she's like, you make me feel old and weird. And they're just like going back and forth. And it's so natural when they're like shadow boxing, like their chemistry. It's so magical and interesting to watch. I've never seen anything like it.
We are not we.
What are we fighting about?
We are.
What are we fighting about, Marty?
We are absolutely different people than we were. When I look at my face in the mirror when I'm shaving in the morning, you know what I see? I can see it then in my face. It's hard to cover it up. There's something deeply cynical about my face. It's hard to cover it up.
Congratulations.
It's hard to cover it up. It is very hard to cover it up. My heart.
That ending scene to me is what makes the whole thing fall into place because, you know, like the whole time Myrtle's like, this play isn't funny. There's no hope. There's no levity. And then she like ends it by doing improv comedy with her scene partner, and it's a hit. The audience loves it. And I think that's a really interesting message, and it's one that you don't really expect from this movie. It's like, oh, that's one of the messages. Weird, but true. Sense of humor is important.
Josh left a comment in chat, really didn't vibe with the movie, and then that scene hit and everything clicked.
Yeah,
like when that scene was happening, my first interpretation was like, wait a minute, was the entire play a comedy? And that's like part of the thing. And then John started laughing like in some of the scenes. And I was like, oh, they're just going off script in a very real way. Yeah, the scenes with him like cracking up and laughing, I thought were just so weird, but because you don't see, like it's such a strange ending for a movie.
Oh yeah.
Like the main actor is doing like very weird ending. And you know what, not at the time was a mainstream movie, but now to me, I could consider this like a popular Criterion mainstream movie. Pearl, what did you think?
I liked it as well. And I like how it kind of connected back to, I think the slap scene where, you know, this is like the scene that she's really struggling with and it's very scripted and they're like giving her direction. Like, no, it has to be this way. He really has to hit you. You have to fall down. And it's very much by the numbers part of the script. And I couldn't place all the things, but isn't that was that like what that scene was replacing? Because it seemed like you see this scene a few different times and like it was supposed to segue into that, but instead they kind of went off script and did their own interpretation of it. And it felt very fitting and in a very meta way as well of just, you know, I guess just the way like Cassavetes does his movies. So in a way, and just knowing, like you're saying, Mia, like their history, husband and wife, he wrote this for her, and here they are, you know, kind of like improving the end of the movie as well. It's really cool. I can't think of anything I've seen like that before.
What about their secret handshake? With the leg, he's like telling her how to do the leg handshake. Like
And that
on
would
stage.
be that would be so hard to do while she's that drunk. She has to do a hand-eye coordination move. Like
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
She basically sobered up in a 90-minute play from
Yeah.
blackout drunk to
Yes.
now nailing improv to end the play.
Wait, I just remembered one more thing about the ending that fell into place for me this time. May I share? May I
Yeah,
have permission to
always.
share? On this watch, what I noticed, so earlier in the film, Myrtle's saying, if I can just reach one woman in the audience who relates to the character, then I've done my job. And the movie ends with her embracing the woman who's like thanking her and is like, thank you so much. Like I love the performance, and it's like her, and she looks so happy, and I'm like, oh my God, she did what she wanted to do,
did it.
and she
Yeah.
had to do it by going off script and making it up. Like I think that's so neat. And it just added another layer. Like every time I watched it, I'm like, it's just more masterful, and it's more put together than you think. Because like on first glance, you're like, this is messy. Why does it go on so long? You know?
So this is in the Criterion?
Yes.
Do you have the disc for this? Mia, does this one have any like
It's
special
also in that
features?
Damn
Cassavetes
right I
box
do.
set.
Oh,
there it is.
That's
Yeah.
right. She just
Yes.
put it in front of the camera.
You can't tell. Yeah, I have my John Cassavetes box set.
Flexing.
Yeah, not to flex. This is my prized possession. So yes, it's one of the films in it, along with The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, A Woman Under the Influence, Faces and Shadows.
Yeah, our friends at the Cinernauts podcast, traversing the Criterion Collection, they did The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and Ben is the lead in that movie, right? He's the star of that movie. Yeah. So
Yes.
I was just like, had no idea because I didn't watch that along with them. But now I'm like, I don't know if he plays an asshole in that too.
I think that this is probably, I mean, I haven't seen Roadhouse, but this might be closer to the Roadhouse role. This is pure conjecture.
The Roadhouse trilogy.
Yeah, I think.
Ben Gazzara. Danny, what was next on your list?
We've gone through so much. I listened to, I wanted to hear John talk a bit about the film, and there's a great 45-minute interview on YouTube. You can listen to John talk about this film. And one of the things I found incredibly crazy about his writing is they were talking about writing a play for a movie. And he was saying, one of the guy interviewed was asked why you just pick a play that existed. And he was like, well, I had to write a bad play. And he was like talking about the fact that he, while creating this movie, had to create a play, but also he had to create a play that sucked for, Jenna's role to hate the play. So we also had to not like this play, which I found like incredibly brilliant and like just big brain John Cassavetes, because in the beginning, like Proto said, it's like, what is going on? The play, it just sucks. Like you can't get into it. You don't know what's going
Her
on.
ex, and the dude just beats up his entire family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that
what?
whole segment, like I'm just thinking, oh yeah, he really had to create a play that really was a stinker for us to really have that sense of, why am I watching this film? It's exactly how you'd feel in the audience of that play. Like, what is going on in this play? And I just thought it was kind of brilliant. I don't know much about John because of, my lack of cinema knowledge, but this just makes me want to watch everything he's done, because he just feels like someone who was just being true to himself as an artist and a creative. And he just did it with his own money, whether anyone liked it or not. He was creating his art, and we get these amazing vignettes of life that him and Jenna can just create together. And it's pretty crazy.
I don't see a rating from you, Mia, for Faces on Letterboxd. When was the last time you saw that?
Well, Slim,
Uh-oh.
you're going to make me admit this on air.
My.
Oh no.
It is the last Cassavetes movie that I have not seen. I'm like kind of saving it, because once I watch this, I'm like, oh my God,
It's
I'm
over,
done. Like
right?
he's not
Yeah.
making any more.
Yeah.
He's been dead for decades. I'm kind of saving it. I'm scared to watch it because then I'll be out.
It's a great poster too. It's on HBO and Criterion right now.
And I have it on Blu-ray right there.
It's waiting.
It
Will it
is.
ever be opened? Who knows?
Who knows? One day. Because I'm going to have to. What? I'm just not going to watch Faces? Come on, grow up.
All of these have well-designed posters. I don't know. They're just very They're very simple love streams from 1984. I don't know. I just love the
love
design
streams.
sense
Ouch.
for these things.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
1984. I want that opening night poster so bad. It's so expensive on Posteriati or it's like is that how you say it? Posteriti? Posterati?
Posteritati.
Posteritati.
I think, yeah.
I almost fired up Husbands today. That looked very interesting and heavy.
That is a rough watch.
Yeah. I read the reviews. It seems rough.
It's hard to just kind of throw on like.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What about Gloria from 1980? Poster's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I
you
did.
have the poster behind you right now.
I do have the poster behind as I was kind of mentioning earlier, we were talking about lobby cards. I don't remember if that was on the air or before we started recording. Sorry, I don't remember. But yeah, this was when I used to run the poster department in Amoeba Music for some reason. They let me do that. And I nabbed this one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's a great poster.
It's like a vintage one. It's like from the time. It says to destroy it.
Oh my God.
At the bottom, it's like, please destroy after using it
No
for
way.
exhibition.
It's like Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega, not for resale. Remember the tag that used to be on that original box?
Kind of gives me Austin Powers vibes. Just her
Sonic or Gloria?
Gloria. Just her stance there, like the gun.
It's badass. She's cool.
Very fierce. It's very fierce. Okay, I think it's my turn. Let's see. I'm all pretty much exhausted everything I had, but I did want to call out her glasses, her sunglasses.
Yes.
Oh my God. I mean, if she wore a different pair of sunglasses, it'd be a different movie. Like, these were incredible sunglasses, in my opinion.
I love the scene where she's in the car with Manny and she takes them off and he's just like, Jesus Christ. He sees her face.
It does cover up like 45% of her face, those
Yeah.
sunglasses. They were nuts. Pardo, what's next on your list?
I was not expecting the stuff with the dead woman and her appearing and the way she did appear. I found those scenes so compelling because I felt blindsided. I don't even know what to call that. You know, I guess I would put this like those scenes like in like call it like a psychological thriller. You know, it feels like that, bleeding into reality, you know, distorting reality. You're not sure what's real. But that scene where she's in the room with the medium and she basically gets attacked by her and she's yelling at her. God, that moment was
The music.
yeah, the music.
There you are. Oh, you're so. What is that? It means I'm no fucking spirit. What does that mean? Never bothered you. You want to kill me.
It was incredible. And then there was at one point, I can't remember when Myrtle says it, but even thinking about it, I get chills. But I think she's arguing with someone about it. And then she says, I can make her appear or disappear at will. And then the scene just ends. And it was just like, it kind of just shook me because in that moment, it's like, all right, this woman is like, may have thought she had issues before, but now you know for sure. Like she is pretty unhinged.
Yeah.
And just the way that builds, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, that's around the scene where Cassavetes is like, what is going on? It's around that part. Yeah. It's funny in a weird way also. Like once it's like both horror, it's both horrific. But again, like I know I keep saying this, but the more you watch it, the more you're just like, it's like watching like Tar, you know? Who Tar heads, anyone?
I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen Tar.
where you're like, is this funny? Like, I can't
Right. Are you
tell.
supposed to laugh?
Yeah.
Or is this like, would I look like an a-hole for
It's like,
laughing at
yeah,
this
it's
scene?
like, I don't want to be like laughing at this poor woman who's
Right.
like, especially in opening night, it's like, I don't want to like laugh at this woman who's obviously going through something.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's kind of funny that she's just like yelling like, no, like, here are the rules of this ghost, everybody. Like, here are my rules of the ghost. I can make her disappear and appear at will, but also she's not real, but also she is real. And everyone in the room was like, okay.
Oh, how about Frank? What was that? Frank, the bar hop from Return of the Living Dead? Did you notice that part?
What?
Was it?
I think that was
What?
Frank.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, that scene, I remember when she's fighting the woman and like she's punching her, and I was weirded out. I was like, where is the punch audio? Like she's landing punches, but it's just like totally silent. And then it cuts to the medium just like watching her like fighting a plant.
Right.
You know, she's like
nothing's
throwing a
there.
plant,
Yeah.
like there's nothing there. Trainer says worst edited fight scene ever. I mean, how do you edit a fight scene of a woman who's on the verge of a breakdown fighting nothing?
Nothing. Yeah.
Um,
Those scenes felt very David Lynch, Twin Peaks-ish to
Yeah.
me. I felt
Yeah,
like
with the
that-
music too. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Every time the she saw the vision of the girl, I was like, oh, this feels definite David Lynchian for
also,
sure.
her like speeches in those scenes where
Yes.
the girl is kind of telling her how much she loved the theater, and so that at that point, that's where I started to interpret the girl pretty much just being in her mind about her fading youth. Where I started to think like that's you at a young age that you're talking to. That's the young you.
Yes, exactly. Because Myrtle has to make everything about herself. So it's like this woman dies and she's like, how can I make this about me and my youth dying?
Right, because she even says and earlier she's like, I have this dead girl.
Yeah. And everyone's
And
like,
you can
what?
almost see that as like the possessive, that I'm going to use that to make sure that this happens. And when she remember when she gets the writer tells her like, I'll take you to this seance, this woman I know, the spiritualist. And I started cracking up.
Yeah.
I thought of Proto. And it's like 2-hour drive. They stay there for 2 seconds and she leaves. I would be so pissed if I made that
Oh my
2-hour
God.
drive.
Oh my God.
No.
So in my head, I'm thinking about like, what a waste of a trip. But then I remembered that that's where you start to get into her head, where she says the second woman is not about like a physical second woman in a relationship. It's like my older self. Like my youth dies and then I become the second woman as I age, which I thought, okay, so it wasn't a wasted trip because now the writer is getting that insight into her psyche, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, and that's funny the way she leaves too. Like they're about to start and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I can't do this. She's not real. I'm sorry. Bye.
God. I would not even be able to be around
No.
a person like that.
No,
at
and then
any
she has to
point.
sit in the car for 2 hours
2
with the
hours.
writer.
Also, if you would have told me that this film would have connected with Smokey and the Bandit, that there was 2 Trans Ams. There's a Trans Am
she
in
was
this
trying
film
to Trans Am.
from like almost exactly like Smokey and the Bandit, I'd have said, you're crazy. There's no way.
Smoking the Bandit prequel too.
Right.
There's so many movies that this
Wow.
branches into. It's insane. Yeah. Anything left on your list that you wanted to bring up for opening night?
Ooh, Anything left? I mean, you brought up another thing that I wanted to bring up, which was that whole aging theme and the second woman being the woman who takes over when you age. And like part of the reason why she keeps freaking out near the beginning, whenever she has a freak out, I noticed that it's when somebody tells her she's not a woman. Like people keep telling her like, you're not a woman to me. You're just a professional. And she's like, oh, am I not sexy anymore?
Right.
And I just think it's such an interesting commentary on being a woman aging in the entertainment industry and how it's a trap. And like, I love that scene where she's like, I can't play this role well because then I'm only going to get matronly roles.
Yeah.
And she's like going off about this big trap. I think that's really prescient. I think it's just like very wise and true and authentic. And it's something that every single actress will deal with. And it's a completely different way than the way that actors deal with it in aging. Like it's kind of fine for actors to age, you know, they become weathered and handsome and then people just discard older women. So it's like it's this meditation on aging while also being about finding humor, while also being a psychological horror. Like it's just so many
mishmash of
things
genres.
at once that you're like, how does this shouldn't work almost, but it does very, very well. It's just very ambitious while also being on kind of a smaller scale.
Yeah, I thought it was really fascinating just that idea of aging and it being such a central element to this because, at this point, of course I'm a guy. I don't really think about it as much, or even just when people say to be young again, that's not really a thought that comes to my mind much of I wish I was younger. But it makes so much sense for an actress and I think an actor as well, especially in terms of their career, because you can even think of actors. When I think of I always just think of when Al Pacino took his first comedy, it's all right, he gave up. It's all right, now he's in this other category of movie. Of course, he's done other things since then, but it almost it does kind of shift your your view of an actor or an actress when they take different roles and how that would affect them and just how they think. And maybe it's just different because we're not in that world, so we don't think about it as much.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad we're never going to get the Daniel Day-Lewis Meet the Fockers era for him.
Oh my God. Yeah, he retired before that could
I
even
don't
happen.
I think he's going to come back someday.
Oh, of course he's going to come
He's
back.
gotta.
The big one.
Yeah.
The big one.
A $7 production.
No,
Dwayne
stop
Johnson
it.
gets him out of
Slim.
retirement.
Be careful.
I know.
He needs another hit after the DCU stuff fell through.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Jenny,
Scary.
final point for opening night?
Final point. I think my general favorite thing about seeing this film for the first time is scene after scene after scene is unexpected. I don't know where this movie is going the entire time. And then it turns, you go from stage play to Jenna having a girl get killed in front of her. And then it goes to mediums and she's seeing the girl and she's haunted. And it's this film takes so many twists and turns. And I was honestly just along for the ride. It's intoxicating to watch Jenna perform this entire film. I don't know where I was at with Woman Under Influence, but for me, this is an easy 5-star film.
5
Easy
stars.
5 stars.
Wow.
Yes. A win for the Cassavetes Army. We got another
Rising
member.
up.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love this film. I had a great time watching it.
Let's see. I think it's officially my turn. So I'll go through some, maybe my honorable mentions. Raincoats. Lost art of wearing a raincoat.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that has a raincoat that they used to wear like this. Also wearing a suit coat over your shoulders like Manny did. What a style.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to bring that back? I
It was
want to
cool.
I need to bring that back.
All the coats in this movie were incredible. I want
Incredible
to add
coats.
every single coat. She wears a bobcat coat made of 12 bobcats, it looks like. And it has a
Bobcats.
hood. It's oh my God, it's
Her
awesome.
apartment.
Oh,
What
I was
was
just going to
that?
say.
Oh my God,
It's
yeah.
so
Yes.
weird. It's
So
so
weird.
strange.
It is very
It's-
strange.
It's like the penthouse of a hotel because she's staying in
Right.
Connecticut. That's something I didn't realize until this watch. And it's this is a hotel that she's staying.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's
So
a huge
weird.
loft with a bed in the corner.
I definitely
Everything's
want it.
red. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Give me that
too.
apartment.
There's 12 landlines sprinkled throughout the place.
She didn't know which
what?
phone to answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proto, you could rock a suit coat over
Oh,
your
yeah.
shoulders. If I saw you walking down the streets of Philadelphia wearing that outfit, my God,
Yeah, get out of his way.
please.
Let's make it happen.
A cold compress with a little brandy. I love everyone's fixes for someone
Mm-hmm.
who is obviously going through some kind of mental trauma. Let's give you a
Everyone-
cold compress with a little brandy.
Everyone
That'll set
keeps
you right.
trying to make this alcoholic woman drink throughout the entire
Yeah.
movie. Everyone's let's get a drink. It's guys.
My God. Also, that one guy whose almost sole job was getting her the brandy. I remember she took a swig of it. I remember he put the bottle on. He looked at it to see how much she drank, and then before he put it away.
There's that guy who's listen, I've seen a lot of drunks in my day, but I've never seen anyone as drunk as you able to stand.
Yeah, and he was you were amazing. Oh my God, biggest enabler in history.
I know. That's the biz, baby.
That is the biz. The ex-husband scene, what an awful just experience if that happened in real life. I'd want to hide in a corner. When they show the actual play towards the end. Oh, yeah. So that's pretty much everything for me. So I think I'm at 4.5 stars for opening night. Yeah. The weird mishmash of genres I thought was very intriguing. It ending with an improv scene. So weird, so bold, in my opinion. And the mirror shot, the mirror scene that Proto was making himself a mochaccino during. I love that. And I was thinking to myself, I'm generally against remakes, but I would love to see a modern version of this on like HBO or something, or a play.
Birdman? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I hated that movie.
Love Birdman.
I would love to
Those
see
two disparate
like
opinions at once was awesome to hear. That's the reaction to Birdman. It's like there's always somebody who's like, I hate it and I love it. Like it's so funny.
And I wonder who you would cast as like who would be the modern day Mia for John and Jenna? Like what would that? Do you have any like dream casting if it was a new opening night made?
Gosh.
Oh, Chris Messina as John Cassavetes. This is something I've thought about.
That was a quick casting. That was very fast.
Okay.
Yeah, I've thought about this. I think he should play him. And then for Jenna, this is tricky because I bet every freaking blonde actress in town is gonna want that role. Kate Blanchett is gonna be gunning for it.
Right.
And I think that's tricky. For my very tentative is Kate and Chris Messina. I think that would be neat.
Wow.
I think she's probably taller than him, which is true about real life too. John Cassavetes famously a short king, 5'6".
Oh,
5'6". Christ.
Short King.
yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yes, and his I read his
Danny's 5'1".
All right.
Danny's standing up right now. For the
Okay,
recording.
enough.
in like John's interviews, he's always saying like, I wanted to play basketball, but I was too short.
That's pretty good casting. I had to Google Chris Messina, and he looks like an alternate universe John Cassavetes.
He's Italian
good casting.
excellence, and you can you can make Italian and Greeks. It's Mediterranean. I think it could work. I don't think anybody would be too mad.
No.
Well,
Someone
there's
will be
always
pissed.
somebody.
someone will be mad.
Yes,
The Greek community. I should not speak for the Greek community. I'm overstepping. I'm speaking for the Italian community.
We'll have to publish your public apology to the Greek community after this episode goes
sorry
out.
to the Greek community.
Proto, what about you? Final thoughts, rating for opening night?
Final thoughts. Another scene I like that was strange at the beginning where Manny is talking on the phone to Myrtle and his wife is there on the bed flopping around.
Yeah.
He's trying to convince her, like, Myrtle, you got to just be, being slapped by a man. It's not a big deal. You can do it. And there she is, like, up on the bed, like, bouncing. It was so, like, kind of bizarre, but, like, it added, like, this realness, I think, to see, a person just being weird alone like that. I don't know if it meant anything, if it was trying to say anything. I still don't understand, like, what their relationship was, the way, like, Manny was all over Myrtle. But then, like, his wife was always around. Like, very strange.
The wife was around. I really like that scene in the beginning because it's like, oh man, this woman is like competing for attention. But like, of course, Myrtle's going to get the attention. She needs the attention. She's a
the
star.
second woman.
Like, yeah, of course she's, but this poor wife, she's like, it's 4:30 in the morning. Why are you talking to this person? Like, I'm your wife. Pay attention to me. And he won't. And she's like trying so hard and doing all these different things to get him to pay attention, and he won't. So yeah, I think that's very, very interesting.
He probably went on an archaeology dig right after that to battle Indiana Jones in like 2 hours. He had to catch a cargo plane.
Yeah, cargo plane. He is always in cargo planes, huh?
Mia, what's your stance on Indiana Jones?
I fucking love him. He's so hot.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. No, I am very pro Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Favorite Spielberg? Like yeah.
Okay.
What's your favorite one?
I
know.
It's tough.
It's like it's hard because I love the first and I love the third in very different ways, but that's such an obvious answer. Like the first and the third are the best. It's like, duh.
Temple has grown on me through the years, but Raiders is my favorite.
I mean, yeah, I have to go with the first one, but Temple's
It's so
Temple's
hard.
silly. It's tough because that's the one where he looks the hottest. Like he's so sweat.
He's
He's
very
dripping in
shirtless.
sweat.
Yeah.
He has his like sleeve ripped off.
Mhm.
It's like, why did he have to look the hottest in the racist one?
Yeah, the most racist one.
So I do appreciate them all in different ways, but I mean, you can't. The first one is great. It's amazing.
My one other thing is I thought I felt like the play suddenly made sense when she was drunk.
Yeah.
You know, so when she's finally performing it in front of everybody, it almost felt like all of those scenes suddenly made sense of her like trying to get into this apartment, you know, can barely stand up, and like the guy chasing her out, her ex, which I thought was funny. Like it kind of like suddenly all clicked. And it was I agree. It was so weird, the whole alcohol stuff, you know, of just like this woman is an alcoholic, but there's people offering her drinks, and it's like funny at times, but you're like, I feel like I shouldn't be laughing. So,
Yeah.
but you know, I overall with watching this, you know, my second go around with Cassavetes, I felt like I had a handle on what was going on. So I really enjoyed it. And I feel like now that I kind of understand his approach and what he's going for, it's easier to consume it. You know, it's kind of like a, you have to, what's the word I'm working for? You got to expand your palate a little bit at first, you know? You got to get mature it with the Cassavetes. So I'm at 4 stars.
Oh.
Nice.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's great.
If there was any question, Mia's at 5 stars. I feel like
Yes, but I want to share that the first time I watched it, I was also a 4.5.
There you go.
I
There's
gave
room
it
for
4.5.
growth.
it did
the
evolve
first
over time.
And
We love
then,
growth.
yes, I sat with it. I watched it again, and I was like, okay, this is a 5-star actually.
Yeah.
But I also just want to agree with the first Cassavetes I watched, Woman Under the Influence. It takes getting used to because there's not really any other movies like these ones, to be honest. Like, yeah, I'm with you on that journey. I'd love to rewatch Woman Under the Influence, knowing what I know now about his work.
That's so true. Yeah.
Great pick, Mia. Great,
Yes,
great
thank you for
experience
picking
Thank you,
watching
Mia.
this.
Yay.
Unreal.
I'm so relieved that everyone enjoyed because it's a weird one, as
It
we
is.
discussed.
Very different. very mixing of genres.
Mhm.
So before we hear from Danny's going to announce his pick for next week's episode.
Yes.
From the VHS Village Top 100
Mhm.
movies of all time. Those are the only movies we can select for the month of February. We do have 2 letters to get to.
Oh,
You can leave us a letter at 70mmpod@gmail.com. And this one comes from Andrew about opening night. Andy here, a.k.a. Xanim on the VHS Village Discord. Shout out to my fellow villagers. If you aren't part of it yet, what are you waiting for?
Mm.
Welcome, Mia.
Aw.
My wife Hillary got me hooked on Letterboxd, which led me to the Letterboxd show, which led me to 70mm, and that led us to today. Opening Night is my first John Cassavetes film. Thanks to this episode. The way it's all put together makes for an incredibly engaging viewing experience. There are shots that feel closer than a close-up. Watching this film, I also couldn't help but notice how much it predates certain storytelling techniques we often see today. For example, the depiction of rehearsals going awry, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Babylon, showing bad takes leading up to a good one, or when a scene abruptly cuts to the next, something used a lot in Don't Look Up, which I think Mia loved, by the way.
Stop. The influence of Cassavetes on Don't Look Up is strong.
Brace yourselves, but watching the play come together reminded me so much of the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where they try to do a Seinfeld reunion and we see bits and pieces of the episode but never see the full thing. What a season that was. I'm sure there are countless other examples, and I'd love to know more about how opening night has possibly influenced what happens in front of and behind the camera today. Thanks for introducing me to cassette tapes. And that's from Andy.
Cassette
Yes.
tapes. Oh, it's an honor. I'm so glad that it's finding more of an audience and everything, because I think it did not really make any money at the box office upon release. It was such a flop. It was like critically panned, like it was really too bad. So it's just very nice to see it continuing to find an audience even like so many years later. It's just very neat. I also appreciate the Babylon parallel, because the friend I watched it with was like that. I could not stop thinking about Babylon the whole movie. Like, she's so Nellie Leroy, and then the writer character was very. Have you guys seen
Not
it? I'm
seen
sorry.
Babylon,
Well,
no.
never mind. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. But there are Babylon parallels. That is very valid. Okay, there.
I can't wait for that to hit Peacock or Paramount, whatever.
Yeah,
in
whatever
3
it's
weeks, and I
going
can
to
finally
go
watch
to.
it. So great email.
Yeah.
We have a VM, but some technical shenanigans. I'm just going to read a transcription of it. So we have one coming in from Daniel. Hello, 70mm podcast. I'm Daniel. This is Daniel. I recently discovered the podcast and listening to the In the Mood for Love episode.
Oh my.
And boy, I really love the show. It's really good. Makes me laugh a lot. I really enjoy all the analysis. I did just listen to the Rogue One episode.
Oh, baby.
We have 2 mentions of
one?
that episode in this one.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to hard disagree on a lot of the things you guys say, but I still enjoy listening anyway. It's just a really fun podcast that I enjoy a whole lot. And I can listen to it while I game, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm playing Fortnite.
No way. Sorry.
Oh my.
I'm going to stop so I don't die. Can't wait to hear you guys opening night episode. Y'all rule. So that comes from Daniel. Thank you.
A fellow Fortniter.
Mm.
Do you have the RoboCop skin in Fortnite? What's your best skin that you have in Fortnite?
I have Indiana Jones. I have the.
I do too.
Yes, I have
had
the one
to.
with the ripped sleeve
The
and
shirtless.
everything.
You gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my prized Fortnite skin is my Indiana Jones.
It's a lot of work to get that one.
I had to. We had to grind. You know.
I know. Yeah. A lot of work.
It was worth it.
I don't know if I told Mia this story, but I can't remember I got a text from James one day asking to be picked up from school, and he walks his bus takes him to his elementary school, and he walks 15 minutes home. And I was like, it's not raining. I was like, why do you want to be picked up? He's like, I have to grind. I have to get home and I have to grind.
Pick me up, Dad. I gotta grind.
It's true. I understand that.
Yeah, it's real. The grind is real. All right, so it's time for Danny to announce the first movie of the VHS Village
Yes.
Top 100 Movies of All Time month.
This
Your
is a
pick.
movie that I watched in the midst of the beginnings of our podcast, and I've wanted to do it for our show for a while. So I was hoping that it would make the list, and it did. And we are going to do 1942's Casablanca.
Whoa.
Yes. The 4K just released for the 80th anniversary. And it's a movie that I've wanted for us to do for a while. It's a big one. It's a big one. So it's time. It's time for Casablanca.
My God. In 4K? My God.
Yes. Yes.
Here's
Wow,
looking at
from-
you, Sam.
That's
Right?
what he says.
That's the famous
Yep.
line.
That's what he said. Yeah, me. Here's looking at you, Sam. Stop.
So it's
Play it
streaming
again,
on.
kid.
Play it again, Ingrid. The famous
Yeah.
scene. HBO Max right now. So if you want to skip the hard release, the physical 4K, I might need to. I have to check my PayPal credit balance right now. I gotta check things
It's a
out. See
4K
if I can-
time.
Yeah. Wow.
See if I can nab it.
From Cassavetes to Casablanca.
Oh,
Kind of,
Was
it's
it
kind of
written in the
beautiful.
stars?
Yeah.
in the
It was
stars.
written in the
Yeah.
stars.
Very excited. This was this was number 13 on the top 100 of the VHS
Number
Village,
13.
I believe.
Holy cow!
Someone can fact check me, maybe.
I don't
but-
remember. I don't even know if I've seen this as an adult. I have this BLB watched. I had
Yeah.
it right starting. I just removed it because I haven't recently watched it.
Same. I watched it in film school and films. No, I watched it in
Yeah.
a film class in high school.
Probably
Was
last
how
time I
long
saw it,
ago?
too.
And at the time, I didn't give a honk. I was a
Right.
teenager. I'm like, you want me to watch a black and white movie? I'm 17.
It's so true. It's how I felt for so long. It's like Casablanca and Citizen Kane are just like the
Right.
top tiers. And I'm like, I don't want to watch these movies. Who cares? And then 2020, I was like, let's just do it one weekend. Casey and I watched them. And of course, they're great.
They're,
So-
they're wheeling out that CRT with
So I'm very
Casablanca
excited.
VHS.
Right.
Didn't I think Citizen Kane might have came out of the top 250 on Letterboxd.
Puss in Boots kicked that guy out.
Yeah, Citizen Kane out of the top 250 on Letterboxd
Amazing.
movies.
The important thing is opening night is still in there at number 200. So
Oh,
as long as we can keep that.
We got to keep the ratings up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Casablanca is number 143 on the Letterboxd top 250, but way higher on the VHS Village one.
Let's see if we can get an opening night bump after this episode drops.
The
I'll be
bomb.
watching the data. I will.
We're doing
Thank
our
you.
part.
Scouring over the data. Well, Mia, thank you so much for coming on. It was
Oh,
a
thank you.
delight.
Yes.
I hope everyone tries to listen to Best in Show. If you're a noob like me, or if you're a vet, you love award season, I think it's a perfect fit
And
to check out.
and Weekend Watch List is coming back. Slim, aren't you excited?
Oh, yes.
Very
The
excited.
week this posts, we'll be back Thursday. Spoilers, the three of us are going back in the studio
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
together
we have
again
to go back.
We have
for the
to go
first
back.
time all year. So everyone follow me on Letterboxd, listen to the pod. We'll have links to all that in the episode notes. And Proto, do you have any closing thoughts for this week?
Yes, this movie, I think it falls into a special category for me. This psychological thriller starring a female lead that really is in its own category. So I just made a list on Letterboxd for myself to kind of try to capture those movies because these movies are special to me and they kind of like really have shaken me, unlike a lot of other movies. So I only have 4 on there right now, but it's my list. Women Melting My Brain. So it has Opening Night, Black Swan, Repulsion, and Perfect Blue. Those 4 movies. I think there's another one that I'm not thinking of, but these 4 for sure changed me.
This one definitely had Black Swan vibes. Opening Night and Black Swan. And then, of course, if it has Black Swan vibes, then it has Perfect Blue vibes. Because they go together.
I kept thinking about Red Shoes watching this movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's it too.
Maybe that could
Maybe
get
that's
in
what I
there.
Because
was
it's
thinking
also,
of.
the stage and performance
stage,
and
yeah.
blurring reality and the work. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
When is Proto going to watch Tar?
I know.
Is
That's
that
coming on. Isn't
is
that
that
coming to
VOD
streaming
yet?
soon?
Is that VOD?
I think it is streaming, right?
You can rent it, but I don't think it's streaming for free because I keep trying to get my parents to watch and they're like, not until it's free on something.
We're so close. Close. No.
All right, we'll see everybody next week for Casablanca. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. Transcripts provided by Sophie Shin and music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to Pro or Patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.